Bryan Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Bryan Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and educational services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity of Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal services may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions related to these issues. This material is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. All opinions expressed by externally cited sources are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. The case studies presented reflects the specific circumstances of one client and should not be considered a guarantee that another client or potential client may experience the same or certain level of results. This is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment recommendations or solicitation. Names have been changed to protect the anonymity of clients and are not testimonials in nature. Learn, grow, and take charge of your retirement. This is the Wealth Through Wisdom podcast with financial advisor Bryan Gaiser, founder of Gaiser Financial Group.
All right, so we're going to address a big retirement risk here, and it's a little bit complicated. I feel like the sequence of returns risk, the idea of it is one, it's complicated, but also it's another that people don't realize how big of an impact, a profound impact it can have on their retirement. So
it's the ultimate.
So finance and retirement planning 101, everybody. Lean in. There was an article, we're gonna do it, try to explain it through a story here. There was an article on Kiplinger.com pointing out the danger of the stock market turning sour the year that you retire. So in that first year, a major market correction happens. And in this article, they followed two brothers, Sam and Dave. Each brother had about $500,000 saved for retirement. And they planned to take out, or they did take out, $30,000 a year to live on. Sam retired in the year 2000, and we all remember what happened in 2000, that big dot-com bubble bursting. Dave retired in 2010, so that was after the dot-com and also after the 2008 recession that we saw. After 10 years, Dave, who retired in 2010, he had $874,000. Sam, who had retired in 2000, only had $96,000. Sam went through those huge market declines of 2000 and 2008. Dave did not. So, Bryan, is this just a luck thing here because of the timing? You can't control the timing. You certainly can't control the market. Or is there something that he could have done to minimize his losses?
You know what? It really boils down to this. The understanding that sequence of returns is really critical. Mm-hmm. And what it's saying is basically if you have a big drawdown in the market, mm-hmm. and right out the gate, and you're drawing off of that money, it could make a huge difference. And usually it does, like in 2000, 2001, 2002, as what, Dave went through, or actually Sam went through. Mm-hmm. And then you got 2008, that other big drawdown, and you're drawing $30,000 a year off your account, and you still have 96. That in itself is pretty good.
The fact that he went through both of those big market correction issues and he still had $96,000 is actually impressive, you think? Okay.
It is impressive. Okay. But at the same token, it's not going to last. 30,000 a year is definitely not going to last at 96,000. Uh-huh. So Sam probably had to go back to work. And what it really boils down to is, but the reason Dave did so well, he had a quick run up in the market, mm-hmm. because if you got in 2010, you're just shortly after when the market turned around, right? Mm-hmm. It turned around in March of 2009. He got in 10. Dave went through the same stuff, but he wasn't taken out. He was contributing, and he was staying in the market because he didn't need his own money because he hadn't retired yet. And then that next 10 years, he has after taking out $300,000, and he started with 500, drawn 30, he still has 874,000. But what you don't have control over is when that market's going to drop. And if you just retired and you don't have an alternate plan in the event we go through a 2000, 2001, 2002, 22 was more of a skip beat. But those, we're talking about some serious, drawbacks in the market. We're talking long periods of time, not your average period of time of a, if you will, a bear market. Mm-hmm. And really not understanding sequence of return That's probably the number one reason I see most people run out of money.
Really?
The number one reason, they're just not aware.
Okay.
And they just keep drawing more and more off of an account that's going down. And that's the worst thing you can do because you got a triple negative effect. You got taxes hitting it. The market went down and you're drawing off of it.
Okay.
So it's hard to stop that roller coaster too.
Just to clarify real quick, Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just to clarify. Again, the sequence of returns risk in layman's term, in just one or two sentences, because a lot of people they still don't understand what it is. It is the risk of drawing down your money in retirement at the same time that the market is down.
That's pretty much the biggest part of it. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
But sequence of return, we don't know what year after year after year what the market will return.
Right.
I mean, I had kind of a two brother thing like that. That's similar, not exactly the same. But one brother, what he did to offset it to him that was appealing, he says, I'm going to get my guaranteed income where I can just shut off from pulling money from my managed account when things happen. I believe in manage. He believes in manage, but he also knows that it's not a great idea to be drawn off your account if the market's dropping down. So he wanted to have a cushion. And so he built a little bit stronger emergency fund, right? Mm-hmm. And then in addition to that, he had, if you will, supersized his income streams in retirement by creating an income stream from an annuity.
Okay.
And what it did was he didn't have to pull off of his managed account when things get ugly. Mm-hmm. The other brother still had to pull off of it or thought it'll make itself up. It'll make itself up. Well, the math works against you.
And this is, in the case of these two brothers, you were working with the one, and then his brother. Kind of a similar issue. But his brother was not working with you?
No, his brother didn't work. His brother lived in another state.
Okay.
And he would tell me his story, and he kept telling his brother, you don't want to be drawn from an account that's really dropping.
Right.
And managed accounts will drop. There's anybody say, well, I can avoid the downs. Don't listen to that crap because I've seen them try to do it. They just, time in the market is not the key. Time in the market. Folks, seriously, this is a big issue, and I can show this to you and give you literature. 336-586-5861, 336-586-5861. We're here in Greensboro, right off Friendly Avenue and Dolly Madison. We're on Dolly Madison. And the bottom line is I can take it through. The math doesn't lie, and I can show you these examples. Sequence of return, they could have the same average return, but their real return, in other words, how much money's in my account, as opposed to what's my percentage return, could be exactly the same, except for the real return is totally different because one is drawn on that money when things are ugly. Mm-hmm. And you just really shouldn't. You got to have a safe haven to go to, whether you're all managed, no annuity, but yet you've built your coffers up pretty big that you can draw off your fixed funds, your high yield funds, your money market funds for 2 or 3 years. And that's really the key. Or you just say, hey, look, I'm going to get myself a fixed income that's surplus income in retirement, whether I use an annuity or whatever it may be, or I already have a pension plus my Social Security. I know I don't have to draw for those counts in those areas when things like that happen. The other thing, required minimum distributions. People take those, and that's not good when things are ugly. So you just want to be smart where you draw your required minimum distribution. But it really just boils down being educated. And because when it comes to, when we're talking about that sequence of return, when it comes to sequence of return, it's hard to hear it on the radio and understand it. That's why we try to keep it in layman terms.
Right.
But when you see the math and you actually look at it and go, now I get it. That's what most people that come in say, now I get it. So why don't you be one of those folks? 336-586-5861, 336-586-5861. Give us a call. Come in, sit down. Within an hour, I will highly educate you on sequence of return and what your retirement should look like so that you don't run out of money.
We've opened up 5 spots on Brian's calendar just for radio listeners today. So call right now to reserve a time, 336-586-5861, 336-586-5861. All right, so the idea of sequence of returns risk, we can never predict what's going to happen in the market. We don't want to try to time the market. But let's dig a little deeper on what can be done to protect ourselves, because you were touching on it a little bit as far as how to categorize our money, our savings. We've talked about the bucket planning process before. So how can somebody, just again, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible for folks listening to us on PTI right now. What is the strategy to look at to avoid the catastrophe that can be a sequence of returns risk?
I mean, to avoid it is know that you have a bucket with 3 years of income.
Okay.
And you don't have to touch your managed account.
Okay.
In addition to that, you also have, maybe you've set yourself up and structured your own pension. Maybe your pension wasn't enough. Maybe you don't have a pension, so you create your own pension. Maybe you have, let's say you have rental property. You just got to look at it from, if something big happens, if the market has a major downturn like 2008, 2001, what's my plan? So that's really the number one thing that you can do. Or is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis a plan in itself, because that check's going to keep coming no matter what. And I just don't have to touch my managed money. So it's a combination. There is no one thing when it comes to sequence of return.
Okay. Everybody's
situation differs. Depends on how much you have saved. Depends on so many variables from that standpoint. And so, folks, if you're listening right now, once again, I mean, this is the one thing that will rip you off. This is the one thing that will destroy your retirement. 336-586-5861. I'll show you how not to let sequence of return destroy your retirement, because it's so quiet. It's so smooth. And that was the big thing. It's like his brother, he said his brother was in so deep, he didn't even know what to do. And so he had to change his lifestyle. Yeah. He tells me, and it's just really sad.
Yeah.
And just a few changes could have avoided all of that, Heather.
Yeah. Well, working to empower you with information, empower you with education on what your options are, is what Bryan wants to show you, so that you don't have to be so concerned with market volatility and all the other things that can and likely will happen over the course of you being retired. I mean, we're looking at probably 20, 30 years of retirement. Lots of things can and will happen, but creating an income plan so that you don't have to worry about these external things creeping in and making you have to change your lifestyle. That's what Bryan wants to help you with. Figuring out what your options are, what your strategies are, what your tools are to create income in retirement is what Bryan is here to show you. So give us a call right now, 336-586-5861. This initial review is a no-fee, no-obligation review, just a space to empower yourself with information about what your options are. If you are near or already in retirement, if you've saved at least $500,000, that's where you're really going to see the power of this kind of planning take effect. A local, independent financial and retirement planner with offices in Greensboro, right off Friendly Avenue and Dolly Madison Road. Let's get to work helping you understand what your options are. 336-586-5861. Give us a call right now to set a time on Bryan's calendar. You can also find us anytime at gaiserfinancial.com, GAISER financial.com, or it's 336-586-5861.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Through Wisdom podcast. To learn more, visit gaiserfinancial.com. Bryan Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Bryan Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and educational services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity of Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal services may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions related to these issues. This material is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. All opinions expressed by externally cited sources are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. The case studies presented reflects the specific circumstances of one client and should not be considered a guarantee that another client or potential client may experience the same or certain level of results. This is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment recommendations or solicitation. Names have been changed to protect the anonymity of clients and are not testimonials in nature.